Drone users might soon need a licence to fly one and could be pinged by the police or have them seized if they break the law. The government's looking at a broad range of drone regulations to help the commercial sector grow and protect airports and citizens from unlawful uses. It believes the industry could be worth $7.9 billion to the economy. Reporter Jordan Bond and video journalist Dan Cook have this report.
Get used to hearing about drones. Last year, 50 times more drones were used in New Zealand than there are even planes in the country. That's 250,000 drones already, and there will only be more in our skies as they become cheaper and technology develops. The Transport Minister, Phil Twyford, says in the coming decades almost every economic sector will benefit from them, and recreational uses will increase. But he says with great benefits comes the potential for harm, and they have to plan now for the future.
A range of measures are being considered, including the possibility of mandatory registration for drone users and for drones themselves, electronic identification of drones, and pilot competency requirements for people flying drones. Measures such as geofencing and remote identification are also being considered to mitigate the risks that drones pose, particularly around airports.
UAVs, unmanned aerial vehicles, can fertilise farms, spray gorse and herd livestock. They can also help search and rescue operations in tricky terrain and inspect high-rise buildings, power lines and bridges. Amazon has trials to deliver packages autonomously by drone, aiming for express drop-offs in America in 30 minutes or less. But some potentially catastrophic risks have already been seen here. Hobbyists getting in the way of planes and helicopters.
All around the world, after the Gatwick incident last summer, airports and civil aviation authorities are grappling with this. So there are a number of tools. Geofencing as technology is moving quite rapidly, and there is the ability to use electronic means to interfere with or land a drone that is in airspace where it shouldn't be. But we're going to have to our challenge now is to tap into rapidly advancing technology internationally, to stay in touch with all of the international authorities so we can get the best of what's being done globally, and then make that part of a comprehensive regulatory regime here.
Commercial operators, people flying at night, or those with large drones already have to be certified. But the government doesn't know who buys and flies off-the-shelf drones, which makes laws hard to enforce.
There would have to be a regime of clear rules with penalties and a compliance regime. There's too much at stake here not to have some kind of serious enforcement regime.
Airways manages airspace and navigation for our airports. The CEO, Graham Sumner, says the thing everyone's concerned about is a collision between a drone and a plane, and there have already been near misses. He says a collision is a very low risk, but the consequences are large. Mr. Sumner says they have a world-leading drone detection system in place, but the technology is not perfect yet.
I think we've got good systems in place to manage. It's just that at the moment it's very inefficient. When we know there's a drone in the space, what we're having to do is close the airports for 15 minutes to ensure that they're out of the airspace and that we have a free landing area. And that's not desirable. You want to be able to keep the airport open, see where the drone is and notify the relevant authority.
Mr. Twyford says some problems can be solved by educating users. AirShare is the drone information hub in New Zealand and has an app which shows where aircraft are and lets drone users log flight requests. Its chief executive, Trent Fulcher, says drone regulation is in its early days and regulation is constantly evolving.
I think what we're talking about is how can we educate someone with the basics of how to fly safely at the point of purchase. And other jurisdictions around the world are doing that when you buy a drone in the store, you download the app, you do your training on the spot, and some of the benefits of the drone actually aren't unlocked until you're able to pass the test. So there's some really great uses of kind of gamifying the technology to embed training in the experience and so that people start flying safely from the beginning.
Mr. Twyford says regulation is a balance between supporting the industry's clear potential for growth and managing safety and privacy issues that will crop up. He says they'll now seek feedback from the industry and the public and hope to have regulations put forward in the next year. I Tamaki Makoto, mō te hōtaka o te ahiahi nei, ko Jordan Bond, tēnei.